Distillery, etc. Yeah, I guess these people were just in a big hurry to go to Salem or something. So what time are we? Thank you, everyone. Oh, it's 7:59 for joining us. We must be making, we're doing great. Where is our lobbyist at? Do you see him? Is he on? There
He's
you
there.
are.
He just joined.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you,
He
Doug.
he just joined, Chair Adair. If I could ask folks to turn on their cameras if they're comfortable so that Chair Adair is able to see you on her gallery view.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. Since I think I should get a bigger laptop. All right. Well, it's now 8 a.m. We should really start on time. Okay, introductions in the room. Let's see. I see Senator Finley. Do you want to explain who you represent to the group?
Well, good morning. Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Lynn Finley represents Senate District 30, which is in northern Deschutes, southern Jefferson, Olive Crook, and then everything else southwest of there, southeast of there. Harney, Lake, Malheur, Baker, Grant counties. So thank you.
How many counties is that? Is that 9?
I think there's 9. Yeah.
Okay, that's why I'd love to go back to the rule where one county, one senator, like our government in DC. That would be that
I
would
think
really
that would be
help.
cool.
Yeah, well, it would give the balance to the legislature instead of one person, one vote. Yes, do we have any other representatives? Oh, Senator Linthicum, I see you.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you for joining us and tell us the area where you represent.
So southern Deschutes County, including the area basically south of Sun River and south, and all of Klamath County and the eastern portion of Jackson County.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us. Do we see are there any other representatives, senators on the line at this moment? Jen, are we expecting anyone else?
I don't see anyone
Not
at
at
this
this
moment.
moment.
We did send them the agenda, which has them joining a little bit later in the call. And I know that Representative Levy is not is probably not able to join. She's going to try, but she's out of town for some personal reasons.
Okay. Okay. So Emerson Levy will probably not. Okay, great. All right. Well, thank
Chair
you so much.
Adair, my apologies for interruption. Senator Tim Knopp is joining.
Oh, good. Senator Knopp. Oh. He is joining. He's on now. Or he will be joining.
I do not see him on our screen yet. Oh, there he
Oh, there
is.
it is. Okay, great. Senator Knopp, would you like to say a few words? We're just asking what area you represent.
He may not have heard you there, Commissioner.
Oh, Senator Knopp. Well, he's trying to connect to audio. Now he's connected. Senator Knopp, just would like to welcome you. And if you wanted to say, let us know what area you actually represent. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good with you all. I represent Senate District 27, which includes the entire city of Bend, part of Redmond, mainly the southern part, Crest, Black Butte, Sisters, and some rural areas in between.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. All righty. We should now go to our legislative priorities. Jen, are you taking this over or is Doug going to be working on this?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Doug is going to now introduce some of the legislative priorities that the commissioners have talked about. Doug, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. Senators, welcome. Looks like we got 10% of the Senate here. That's a pretty powerful bunch. That's great appreciate having you here. Just wanted to go over a couple things really quickly. First of all, I'm Doug Riggs on behalf of the Deschutes County. We are going to try to be as efficient as possible with these meetings in the next 6 weeks. We have 3 of them scheduled, so we won't do a meeting every week for you guys. We'll have internal meetings that you're welcome to join in the meantime, but we're gonna have 1 this week and then 2 more during the session. So I think you've been sent those calendar invites. So we'll try to be as efficient as possible. Today might take just a little bit longer because we want to go over some priorities that the commissioners have set and issues we're keeping a close eye on. But the goal is to get you in and out by 8:30, especially during the session. So hopefully that meets your needs. If there are different times or a different format that is best for you in a particular week, please let us know and we can adjust as well. So thank you very much. I will say as you well know, there's an awful lot on the agenda for the short session. Many issues in many different areas. And so we've tried to focus on just a handful of issues, which you see in the agenda that was sent to you. And I'll just go through a few really quickly. And then afterwards, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. And then we can also have our department heads answer questions. So the first item on our agenda is community corrections. As you know, there's been a decrease in the population from DOC, and as a result, the per capita rate that goes to counties has decreased. The challenge for counties is that the acuity level has increased dramatically, and so what most counties are facing is a choice of which services to fund and which services to cut. And in Deschutes County's case, we've as of December frozen 5 FTE. Services have been impacted in substance abuse treatment, cognitive behavioral treatment, and 100% cut on our community service crew funding. So those are obviously cuts to the program that make a big difference for individuals in our county. So as a collective, the counties are asking for a $16 million kind of bridge funding financial request to get us through the second part of the biennium. The counties are working with DOC and with other interests to come back in 2025 with the restructuring of the program and some suggestions for updates. So the bridge funding would be designed to take the counties through the end of this biennium with minimal cuts, minimal staffing cuts, minimal impacts on programs. So that's the first request, and probably one that you'll hear a lot from us on. So maybe I'll just stop and take any quick questions per item if that will.
Oh, Doug, do you mind? I just noticed Representative Reske just joined us. Representative Reske, do you just want to tell us what your area is besides part of Deschutes County?
Thank you, Commissioner Adair. And as far as my district is concerned, the geography of it. Okay, yeah. So it's southern Deschutes County and eastern Deschutes County. It goes around the right side, I would say, of Bend, and gets the Bend Municipal Airport all the way up to Crook County. But it includes Deschutes River Woods, Sun River, Lapine, down to the Klamath County line. And then I have all the northern Klamath County and the eastern side of Klamath County. So it goes around the east side, and the south side of Klamath Falls does not include that. So it's a real pretty rural area with no major metropolitan area in it. I mean, I think Lapine is vying for the largest municipality in my district.
Great, thank you so much. And a representative for Vicki Breeze Iverson is on our call too somewhere. I don't see Callista at this moment, but when we'll recognize her in a bit. So sorry, Doug, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sorry, I was having trouble finding my mute button. So community corrections is one of the first things we'll talk to you about. The second is behavioral health, and there are a number of topics that I could discuss that are of critical importance to Deschutes County and to other counties in the state regarding behavioral health. This tracks very closely with the various proposals on ballot measure 110. And I won't go into all of the details on the behavioral health requests. We will provide you with several one-pagers on key issues, but they're obviously sobering centers are a key. Programs with DOC, residential capacity is a big issue, but I really wanted to focus on the aid and assist issue. You certainly know the Mossman decision has had a significant impact on the number of individuals who are coming to counties for mandated services. So I believe that if I'm correct, that we've had a 400% increase in the number of individuals coming to the county with no parallel corollary funding increase. And this is a significant challenge for counties to be able to deal with this population that in past years would have been at the state hospital. So there's a $7.5 million statewide request that we're also joining and supporting for the aid and assist population. Again, it's not going to solve the problem permanently, but it's necessary to be able to address the immediate needs of the aid and assist population that we're facing in Deschutes County. So as I said, I'll probably send you some other one-pagers on other behavioral health issues, but this is one that jumps out. So and lines up, in the realm of the community corrections, aid and assist, et cetera. So I'll stop and see if there are any questions on that particular request.
Hi, Doug. Senator Finley has his hand raised.
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Doug. Doug, you spoke about a $16 million community corrections ask. Is that statewide or is that Deschutes County?
Thanks, Senator. Good clarification. Yes, both of these requests are the statewide request. So Deschutes County would receive only a portion of that money, but that small portion would be pretty important to the county.
Thank you, because I have seen that number in some other locations, and I just wanted to make sure that it was. I assumed it to be statewide, but I wanted to get your verification. Thank you.
Yeah, that's correct. We are at the table and discussing on a weekly basis with our colleagues at AOC and individual counties all of these requests. So we're really trying to make it trying to be consistent across the state.
And Commissioner
Commissioner
Chang has his
DeBonne.
hand raised, and then Commissioner DeBonne.
Okay, let's go ahead with Commissioner Chang.
Yeah, I had a follow-on question to that. So with both of these statewide packages, 16 million or 7.5 million, Doug, do you have a sense of, or staff, do you have a sense of how much, what portion of that might be coming to Deschutes County? And then within the community corrections piece, yeah, I would love to hear even more detailed split on how much would go to the sheriff's office, jail functions versus to parole and probation within community justice.
Yeah, Commissioner, those are excellent questions, and I think I'd rely on a DV maybe to jump in and help us with the answer to some of those specific issues, and we can certainly put that down on paper from a Deschutes County perspective.
Is DV on? I don't see her.
I don't believe DV's
No.
on.
Yeah, I don't think she's
DV's
on.
not on.
Yeah, Commissioner, I'll make sure I follow up and we get that information circulated to the commissioners and to our legislators who are here today.
Right.
What
Commissioner
about the 7.5 for aid and assist? Do we have a sense of what slice of that might be coming to support our work here?
My understanding is that this is Holly Harris, Behavioral Health Director. My understanding is there will be a formula that's created, similar to how we've done for mobile crisis and others, that will be done collectively with the CMHPs across the state. We have a standard practice of this, so it's hard for me to say exactly how much will come to Deschutes, depending on how the formula actually plays out.
It doesn't really sound like it will be enough. If 7.5 million divided.
No, I mean, it's not gonna, I mean, the numbers just keep going up, but it would certainly help quite a bit. And we are gonna be likely participating in an additional pilot that's separate than these dollars that will be coming to the board to talk about.
Right. Commissioner DeBonne.
Good morning. I just wanted to, welcome the senators, but one of the high level things that come to mind when Doug was mentioning and the senator was asking about how it's going to break out or if it was a statewide ask, there's a lot of camaraderie at the Association of Oregon Counties right now. Gina Nickel, the director, is doing a great job. The meetings are well attended. So it's kind of a message for our senators, maybe even share that in the building if you're not seeing that yourself. There's, as I say, a lot of good folks working together and communicating openly at AOC. So hopefully that may be either a back channel or just a whole kind of feel for the legislature to pick up on is my message.
Yeah, Commissioner, I would echo those comments. I'm in a lot of the work groups. There are 2 or 3 work groups every week that AOC is coordinating. They are very helpful. And I think in both of these cases, community corrections and aid and assist, as well as a lot of the behavioral health issues, there's a recognition that the amounts that we're asking for the statewide requests are not necessarily what we need or what would be ideal. But we recognize that during a short session, with uncertain future revenues, that we had to be realistic. So I think part of that played into it. And so what you'll see, I think, in both these areas is an ongoing effort to reform, restructure, and improve the programs in some way, shape, or form. And those will be in legislative requests and bills that we'll see in 2025.
Okay. Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised at this moment.
So, Commissioner, let me move on to C on our agenda, which is houselessness, homelessness. There's one key priority that the region is lining up behind, sponsored through Core 3. This is a $1.85 million request for improvements in safety and access streets in Redmond, outside of the Redmond Airport. This is in place of what would have been a Core 3 request of about $5 to $7 million. We're going to push that off because the governor has suddenly gotten a lot of interest in Core 3. So we're going to wait for the larger Core 3 request until 2025. And the beauty of this particular request is it helps several projects. It's a 3-for-1 or a 4-for-1. It would help future development in Core 3, but it also helps with providing access to Oasis Village and the RV park and other houseless programs that the county and the cities have planned in that area. So it really is there's a tremendous bang for the buck, so to speak, for this. On top of that, there are 3 housing bills, as you well know. There's the governor's housing bill, LC 19, which will be in the Senate Housing Committee. That is quite a large bill with many, many sections, including an automatic one-time UGB expansion tool for cities, but accountability offices, et cetera. There's a parallel House bill in the House being written by Representative Maxine Dexter. And then there's a Senate bill that will be in the same committee, obviously, as the governor's bill. So we don't yet know where all 3 of those bills will go. We are watching them very closely. Obviously, housing in Central Oregon and Deschutes County is a real challenge. But within that housing range, the $1.85 million request for 21st Street is one of our key priorities. And I see a couple hands up.
Okay. Commissioner DeBonne?
Yeah, just one more note on that ask. So it is a capital ask, but the economic development opportunity is huge also, because once you improve the 126, which is the fast freeway, you get a turn lane, you get some connectivity there. All of a sudden, Redmond can make a whole bottom corner of their town accessible and a lot better. So this is the stub off the highway, but it'll create an opportunity to connect to Antler if you just look at a map. And all of a sudden, it opens up all kinds of land. So it's just a huge opportunity, economic development and housing. So just show my excitement on that. And also, Representative, I'm sorry, I said good morning to the senators. I was saying all of our state legislators. Good morning.
You are forgiven.
Well, that was fast. I don't see any other hands up on my screen. Is there anybody else with their hand up? Jen?
No, I don't see any other hand raises.
Okay, great. All right, so
Great. Well, we're halfway through. I've just got a couple more, and these are easy issues. So the next one is ballot measure 110, and I don't need to tell all of our guests and legislators here how big an issue this is going to be. This is probably going to occupy an awful lot of the time and attention during the session. As you well know, there are competing proposals. What I think we'd say, and what I'm hearing from the AOC level in all the counties, is one of the really important things in this discussion and debate is that we don't lose sight of the important investments that have to be made in treatment. So whatever takes place at the misdemeanor, deflection, diversion level, is important. But whichever direction the legislature or the voters decide to go, ensuring that there are programs to be able to meet the needs of those who are substance abusers, addicted, or facing challenges in that area really need to occur. So there has been some rumor that the plan was to put everything into one package for an up and down vote. And then if that package went down, then counties would be faced with another year and a half until the summer of 2025 before the legislature came back and was able to allocate funding for many of those programs. So we would just urge you to urge your colleagues to make sure that at the end of the day on March 10th, that there is adequate funding for the kinds of services and resources that are so important to be able to address the needs of this population.
Okay, we do have our district attorney. I don't know if Steve wants to say anything at this time. I know you signed on 2 letters.
Yeah, I agree with the funding point. I think that we need to have treatment funding in the as a backdrop to all of this. The problem with the current proposal, and I hope it's just a opening salvo, is that it kind of creates a Rube Goldberg machine. It's very complicated. I don't think it's going to work as proposed, and I think there also needs to be a serious approach. It needs to be at least a Class A misdemeanor, in my opinion, for it to work, to be incentive for a drug addict to actually go to treatment.
Thank you. Any other raised hands? Well, I do believe, Doug, that was a bit of an understatement. Your first comments. What about, and then of course we have water.
Commissioner Chang.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I see Commissioner Chang.
Yeah, Doug emphasized the theme of keeping investing in treatment. I also just want to emphasize that within AOC, within the policy bundle that the DAs, sheriffs, police chiefs, and LOC put forward, there's also been a tremendous amount of thought into criminal sentences really being structured as drivers to get people into treatment. This is not just about punishment. It's about how do you use a criminal sentence to get someone into treatment and through treatment and to recovery. And I hope that there's going to be a lot of debate and argument about the level of misdemeanor and what kind of criminal sentences we're talking about. But I hope that we can keep that in sight through the process, and also if we end up with I hope we end up with certain kinds of criminal sentences that connect people with treatment, and then to go back to Doug's original point. We need to invest in that treatment to be there, so that if we're driving all these people into treatment, they have a better chance of success in getting through that process.
Doug?
Yeah, thanks. Much more to come on this issue, and I'm sure you've seen the letter from the commissioners on the larger policy issues as well. So we'll make sure we're going to put all this in a packet and send it to you in case you've misplaced it. You'll have it all in one place. Water issues. So obviously there's an awful lot going on with water, both the groundwater rulemaking at the Water Resources Department has stirred up quite a bit of controversy. The department has gone back to the drawing board and scheduled 2 rules advisory committees. They had one last month. They have another scheduled for early February. At this point, I don't know anyone who we work with in the basin who's very happy with how the process has gone so far. I don't think anyone has decided exactly what to do, although a number of groups are urging a pause. I will say that I think that there is consensus in our basin that our local efforts and our collaborative efforts sitting around the table over the last 25 years have led to tremendous successes. Not that there's more to do, but the place-based planning, which is something the department has been emphasizing for 20 years, is an excellent opportunity to take advantage of the strengths of the basin and engage people at the table to identifying solutions to the problem. So more to come on this. The other thing I'd say is the commissioners and a lot of the cities raised the issue of juniper mitigation and the excess use of groundwater by junipers. 6 of the 7 projects funded by the measure that passed last June already are on the ground and beginning to plan for the spring remediation efforts. So tremendous progress being made by the soil and water conservation districts as a follow-on to that bill.
Thank you for telling me that, because I'm looking out in my pasture and there isn't a drop of snow underneath the juniper trees that we didn't remove. So Commissioner DeBonne, I believe you had your hand up first.
Commissioner Chang, you can go if you're ready there. Okay, well, just, yeah, the water collaborative, we just had an update in front of us. Basically, we are proactively doing place-based planning. So as I say, this is for our legislators again, and we've got a long history of bringing all the players to the table in this basin. Obviously, there's more work to do, but yeah, the Oregon Water Resources is taking a pretty big hammer across the state when we're really working hard in our basin. So just a little bit of information from my point of view.
Commissioner Chang?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, and I think this is looking towards the next long session. We do have a tremendous history of collaboration, and we've made a lot of progress with restoration of surface water flows, conservation of surface water so that there's more to go around. In fact, the groundwater mitigation program that we have in the Deschutes Basin really is it is oriented towards restoration of surface water flow and making more surface water available to the places where it's needed. But we do not. We are entering a new era in collaboration in the basin. Where we need to figure out how to save groundwater, to use groundwater more efficiently, to share it among the existing users, and certainly if there's going to be any groundwater for new users, we need to understand where that's going to come from, because our groundwater levels are declining. And as they are in many places around the state. So, I mean, I just want to emphasize, I understand why the Water Resources Department is trying to do a groundwater allocation rulemaking right now. And at the same time, I also understand that we will need to do, enter a whole new era of collaboration and work in the Deschutes Basin in order to effectively address declining groundwater levels in our region. And so I asked our legislators, as they look towards the next session, the long session, to be thinking about what you can do to support local communities in using groundwater more efficiently. So we can do more with what we've got.
Thank you. And Doug, as you know, I actually have been calling all the well drillers And the responses I've gotten from 4 of them has been fascinating. So we should talk later. I want to acknowledge that Representative Prop is joined us also. I don't see him, but I heard he was on our call too. So thank you for joining us.
Good
Doug,
morning. Thanks for having me.
and you represent part of Bend?
About 70% of Bend. Yep.
70%. Okay. Thank you for letting us know. Doug, do you want to go on to other issues then?
Yeah, let me just finish up really quickly, and then we'll turn it over to our delegation for quick comments and an overview. There are many other issues that the county has an interest in. There are transportation issues. Long-term funding is a key for transportation. That'll be a 2025 issue. In the short term, there are right-of-way fee and permit fee issues that will come to you on. There are law enforcement bargaining unit issues. There are 2 bills dealing with expanding the bargaining units for law enforcement that are of interest to us. So we'll get back to you on that. And then at some point, we've been told that this is not the right session for it, but maybe in 2025, there's a technical fix that we need for the ADU bill, as you recall, Senate Bill 644 that we passed last session. So we'll come back to you with a technical fix. So that's a quick overview of the agenda for this session. Again, community corrections, aid and assist, and the 21st Street are the 3 financial asks, but there are lots of policy issues that we've covered as well. So I think I'll stop there, and Commissioner Adair, maybe we can open it up for legislator comments, and then any comments from the staff as well.
Okay. Senator Finley, since you joined us first this morning, do you want to have a couple comments from your point of view?
You know, I agree with almost everything you said. This is going to be an interesting session. So I not to beat a dead horse up. I think Commissioner Chang's absolutely right on the groundwater issues. There's a major thing. That's a lot of work coming, and we've got to figure out how we study our water better. This session, I think, is just to set up the table for the next session. We're going to continue to kick the can down the road, but we also got to figure out when we stop kicking the can, when we start dealing with it. Groundwater is a major issue. I don't know how many wells in Deschutes County have had issues. I know it's a bunch. We keep running out of water. We can't find enough well drillers to deal with it. So, and just one.
Actually, only one of our well drillers is really booked out for
Really?
months. Yes. Yes, you can get your well drilled by Robert Buckner in March. I talked to Mathers. They're actually not busy. They're 2 weeks out or something like that, and Aiken too. So I did call all the well drillers and personally talk to almost Abbas. They're the ones that were booked out the most. So
Cool.
that was fascinating calling them. Yes, I have I'll write you an email on it.
Please do. Yeah.
Okay, Senator Lithicum, you were on second, I believe.
I could just say that Senator Finley, you're correct. In just the last 2 or 3 years, hundreds of wells in Deschutes County have gone dry.
Senator Lithicum, are you still with us? Okay, well, we know what's happened in Klamath Falls with their water issues. So definitely kicking the can isn't working. Senator Knopp, would you like to add anything from this morning?
Thank you. It's great to be with you, commissioners and staff. Really appreciate working with you and your lobby team, and looking forward to the 24th session. And I think the big issues are going to be homelessness and housing affordability and the housing package, along with Measure 110. Look forward to trying to resolve those issues this session, because they both are emergencies. And we will certainly work on your top 3 projects. And I was having trouble staying connected, so I didn't turn my video on because that seemed to be a problem. So I think somebody forgot to pay the internet bill around here at the Capitol. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, thank you all for engaging and having this conversation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Knopp. Senator Lithicum, I see you now. Are you able to make a few comments?
You bet. Thanks. And there's really not a lot to add. For a long time, I've been recommending that if we're not going to store water in snowpack, we should store water in reservoirs. And if everybody has this fear of global warming and less cold weather, even though a couple of weeks ago we were all freezing our tails off, and Bend had more snow than they've seen in a long time in a single dump, we should be focused on reservoirs and restoring the groundwater through natural filtration and whatnot versus just letting this precious water run out into the salty Pacific. As many of you know, here in the southern Klamath area, the 4 dams on the Klamath River are being removed. 2 of them are already down. The third one's being drained right now, that reservoir, and we will return to our pre-colonial days. And I'll just give you a little bit of advice. Pre-colonial agriculture isn't as productive as our modern agri-industrial complex.
Thank you. Are you finished? Are you frozen now, Senator? Okay. Thank you for those comments. Senator Reski? Excuse me, Representative Reski.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, don't demote me. So thank you. I appreciate that. I'll just go on to the next person because I think what's been said is probably very accurate, and I don't have anything more enlightening to add at this point. So we'll just keep the meeting moving.
Okay, Representative Crop, would you like to add some comments from what you've heard?
Sure. No, good morning, everybody. Sorry for being a little bit late. No, I appreciate folks getting together today and help us as we get ready for the legislative session. I think I just missed a discussion about the addiction framework rollout, and I'm happy to take any questions on that. So we rolled that out on Tuesday. I co-chair that committee and serve on that with Senator Knopp as well. There's a budget framework that we're going through in that process about how we're going to make investments in our addiction infrastructure. There is a list of shovel-ready projects throughout the state that we're trying to evaluate. There are 2 requests from Deschutes County on that list, one from the county and one from Best Care. It would be helpful to get a little more briefing from staff on that. I know they've been connecting with Speaker's office and the Senate President's office on that. So thank you for the work that they've been doing on that piece. Happy to take any questions if folks have questions on the initial framework rollout.
Okay, we sent a letter with endorsing the LOC 11 proposals, and as DA Gunnels just mentioned, I personally feel that the Class A misdemeanor is a much better way to go than the Class C. So
I appreciate that, Commissioner Adair. What we've tried to blend together is the things that we've heard from both law enforcement, from behavioral health folks. So what we heard from law enforcement uniformly, I met with local law enforcement. We heard this multiple law enforcement in public hearings. They said, we want a tool to intervene when we see something on the streets. And we don't want to be taking people to jail. And the behavioral health folks told us every time we make a connection between a person in crisis and treatment, there's a value to that. So that's what we've tried to blend together. Nobody has explained to me, well, that's what we've tried to blend together, those things that we're hearing both from law enforcement, and I've heard that from law enforcement across the state, that same exact sentiment, both in public and private, and heard the same thing from public health folks. So that's what we're trying to blend together, and we're talking about folks who are in possession of small amounts of drugs. So that's the approach we're taking, or that's the approach we're proposing at this point.
but it takes a very small amount for someone to die from fentanyl now.
That's why we're making changes to our drug delivery law, so law enforcement and our DA's offices have the tools they need to prosecute drug dealers, like the tools that I had when I was a prosecutor just a few years ago.
Okay. Commissioner DeBonne?
So Association of Oregon Counties, we're really kind of working well together right now, and I mentioned this earlier in this meeting, but yeah, I mean, please balance that with the other 120 elected officials referring to us as county commissioners and a position we might take. Just letting you know, there's a lot of engagement right now in that world. I put in the note here, we'll have an open house on February 5th at their AOC building in Salem. But as I say, communicate with Gina and Nicola on that and understand the positions of the counties proper, please.
Yeah, Commissioner, I appreciate that. I mean, this is the only committee that's been meeting this robustly outside of session. We've heard from stakeholders and folks from across the state, law enforcement from all four corners of the state, people who work in addiction services in all four corners of the state. We have AOC who's been highly engaged, and LOC has been highly engaged in our process and in our meetings. So I appreciate how engaged the counties has been on this. Counties as our behavioral health and public health providers in our communities play a critical role in tackling the addiction crisis, and we're trying to make sure that you have the tools that you need to help folks in our community and throughout the state.
So yeah, as I say, from my point of view, sheriffs, district attorneys, and elected county commissioners may be asking for a little bit more here, and so that I'm just kind of acknowledging that. If we're asking for a little bit more and there's justification, why not? I question, how does this logic happen? So, and I know this is the legislative process, just letting you know.
Well, and I'm sorry, Commissioner, I'm not sure I understand your question.
Class A misdemeanor, as I say, sheriffs, district attorneys, commissioners.
LOC.
Yeah. So from what I'm seeing, it just looks like a lot more saying, hey, let's start off with this so we can negotiate it back. And, the legislative majority is coming from the other direction. But
so I would put this out. This is a proposal in a framework. And like I said, we've tried to take into consideration. I mean, the thing that I'm hearing from law enforcement, we don't want to put people in jail who are struggling with addiction. We want to get them connected with treatment. So that's the approach we're taking. There is still a Class A misdemeanor for people who have a little bit more than a small amount of drugs on them. So we're not changing that framework. We're talking about increasing funding for our specialty courts. We had to shut down, not we, the Deschutes County Circuit Court shut down their drug court program. We're trying to make sure some stuff like that doesn't happen anymore. We're trying to make sure that we preserve and enhance funding for our addiction services throughout the state. We're looking at projects that can come online that have been proposed in Deschutes County so we can fund those. So we have a long-term vision and commitment to what addiction services can look like in the state so that we can provide help for those folks who are struggling.
Thank you.
They have to want to have the help, and that's the issue. Commissioner Chang?
Hi there. Representative Krupp, I want to thank you and your committee for all of the intensive work you've been doing over the last few months on this issue and to craft this package. When Doug was reviewing the Measure 110 legislative situation with us earlier, what I said basically was it is an extremely complicated thing to both create drivers and supports to get people to and through treatment. And I can see in the package that you've developed, that your committee has developed, that a whole lot of legislators have put a whole lot of careful thought into that, and I wanted to say I appreciate that. And I think that people on both sides of the issue may be unsatisfied with this package, but to me it seems like it is at least a significant improvement on Measure 110 as it is being implemented right now.
No, I appreciate that. And we tried to get the framework out there, before sessions so that we could continue to solicit feedback from folks on this. And so that we can be, it's a short session so we can be ready on day one for public hearing and public testimony. So that's the approach we're taking. Like, here's our process. Here's what we're proposing. And we're in the process of soliciting feedback. That's why I'm here today. And that's why I asked for questions and feedback.
I believe I testified on it, like 2 months ago, perhaps.
Yep, I remember that, Commissioner. Thank you for being there.
Yes, Janice Garceau.
Yeah, hi, I'm Janice Garceau. I'm Director of Health Services. Just speaking from the treatment provider lens, I think, and thinking in terms of the kinds of negotiations that I think happen with this complex legislation, the worry that we would have from a treatment lane is that if we increase the penalty without increasing resources, then we end up with people who have the long-term consequences of more serious charges, which really complicates their recovery. So I totally get the Class A versus Class C sort of discussion and why that's important. And what I would wish for from the sidelines is that if we end up leaning in the direction of more serious penalties, we match that with dollars to provide adequate treatment and pathways out of addiction. So it's kind of a both and moment, and the commitment on both ends is really critical. And again, these are political decisions. We don't get to vote on those directly, but we definitely see the consequences of trying to help people stay in recovery when they have serious charges on their record. It's tough. So we hope to see commitment to both seriously incentivizing people and seriously resourcing a system that has been under-resourced for decades. Thanks.
Yeah, and Janice, that point's well taken. And I can only speak for the 3 years that I've served, right? We've made significant sort of catch-up investments in 21, right? I mean, you saw that in your department.
Right.
Reimbursements rates, trying to stabilize your workforce. I think this is a continuation of that long-term commitment. You're going to see funding for shovel-ready projects. You're going to see funding for MAT. You're going to see funding for MAT in jails, right? We're one of the few counties doing that, and we see success for people who start medication in jail before they get released. I feel like what I've heard is we're not going to arrest our way out of this. We're not going to treat our way out of this, right? We're just never going to be able to, if we don't. And I think it's telling that we started this entire process with a presentation about prevention. And you're going to see an invention, you're going to see investment in prevention and youth prevention, right? So if we can stop folks from getting into crisis, that's going to be the most effective way to do it. And honestly, it plays into a lot of the other work that we're doing. The housing package,
right,
plays a role in addiction prevention and recovery. In that housing package, you're going to see an allotment of dollars for recovery housing, right?
That's
so folks who have a clean and sober place to live. So we're trying to take a holistic view. People want to talk about what level crime should a small amount of drugs be. I get that. I'm happy to have that conversation. The package we're putting together is much, much larger than just that piece.
Well, we're super appreciative of all the work that's been done and the collaboration that's happening. So thanks.
Right. Thanks, Janice.
Thank you so much. Yes. At this point in time, is there any, Callista, did you want to say anything for Representative Breeze Iverson?
Thank you for asking. No, I was mostly here to listen to make sure she didn't miss anything. The only question that I had is if anybody has a firm count on the actual number of shelter beds in Deschutes County, and if even better, if they're broken down by low barrier to high barrier. I've seen some websites that have that information, but they're missing key ones like Bethlehem Inn. And I tried to call when it was very cold last week, and they had beds open, and I'm not sure where to send people to look for open beds in Deschutes County if there's not one spot that kind of grabs all that information.
We can probably get that to you, Callista. I can talk to Chris Ogren about that. And then also, if you want to know what beds are available, the 211 number in the state, somebody who needs a bed can actually call that number, because I did call it a week ago and check on things. So, but I'll work on that. I wrote myself a note, and I'll try and get you all that breakdown for the county. Yeah, I'm just trying to firm up a few things in like Redmond with the Bethlehem Inn. I was told they had people there. People that live there say nobody's there, Patty. So just send another text message this morning. Are you really taking people at the Bethlehem Inn in Redmond? So it's always challenging. Are there any department heads that would like to say something at this time? I don't see any raised. Peter, what do you think about the fix to the ADU bill? Honestly, we learned that anybody that wants to do an ADU in Deschutes County is going to have to put in a septic system, and those run about 40,000. So that is going to put another cost on top when building is so expensive at this moment in time. I don't know if we in short session deal with that. What do you think, Doug?
Well, the problem that we're facing, Commissioner, is that that would require a statutory change, and the bill, the deadline for submitting bill drafts was September. So so that the problem is the issue came up in November and early December, and so the advice of the chair of the committee was that it would be unlikely that there'd be a bill available for us to amend in the short session. So we're still pursuing that. We're keeping an eye on the bills. Once the bill tracker list comes out, we'll keep an eye on all those bills. If there's an opportunity there, we will take advantage of it. But we need to make sure that whatever fix we have is ready for the September of 2024 bill deadline, LC request deadline.
Yeah, and I would just add, this is Peter Gutowski, Community Development Director. The statutory fix that's, I think, referenced in the agenda has to do with the fact that Senate Bill 391 and its relationship ultimately with Senate Bill 80 to remedying the wildfire maps that are forthcoming. We've confirmed this with the Department of Land Conservation and Development and others that without a correction, ADUs that are considered in areas that are identified for high risk for wildfire hazards, but are outside the wildland urban interface would require to be fire hardened. And the intention, as I think everyone knows, specifically with our legislators, is that the whole premise of fire hardening for residential structures is correlated with being in a high risk area and being in the wildland urban interface. So I think Doug and I have chatted, we're not confident that a statutory fix will be available in the short session, but something that hopefully can be ameliorated in the regular session, or I don't know, maybe there's a patch possibility in the short session, but I'm left not confident that that can occur.
Okay.
Question real quick. So fire hardening is more than the R327 building standards?
So as currently, the way the law settles today, when the wildfire maps are acknowledged, if someone is considering a rural accessory dwelling unit in Deschutes County that is identified by the Department of Forestry as being in a high-risk area, but it's not in a wildland urban interface, the law requires that ADU to be fire hardened, which runs counter to the whole intention of the bill, right? Of Senate Bill 391 and the whole construct of the wildfire mapping as currently corrected by Senate Bill 80. The emphasis is for residential structures only to be subject to fire hardening when both of those circumstances occur, high risk and being within the wildland urban interface. So
But I'm trying to get clarity about fire hardening. I mean, is that just R327 standards?
Yes.
That was my question.
Yep, sorry, misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are there any closing comments? Commissioner Chang, did you want to make any?
Commissioner Adair, I just have one quick issue to bring up before you go to closing comments. I just wanted to run by you. I sent all the commissioners the legislative priority blurb that's going to go in the public facing newsletter. It's looking to get published today. I did hear back from Commissioner Chang and Commissioner DeBone. Commissioner Adair, before it gets published, I just wanted to make sure there was no edits on your end on that 2-paragraph blurb.
Okay. I'll send you I'll be in the office as soon as I can drive in.
Great, thank you.
Well, and it's pretty simple. Basically, our legislative priority list on our agenda today, it's changing the word water issues to groundwater issues. And so it's really the list, the bullet items of our agenda published today.
Yeah, and it was the same bullet item from the leadership and presentation as well.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, let's see, Doug, did you want to go first and then Commissioner Chang?
Yeah, let Commissioner Chang go first because I've just had some follow-up
thank you.
administrative issues. Yep.
Go ahead, Commissioner Chang.
I just really wanted to quickly flag for Peter. I would love to have a sense of how many properties we're talking about that are in the hazard area but outside of the WUI. Because if it's, you know, if it's a lot of properties, then the urgency of working on this is higher. And if it's a very small number, then the urgency is, you know, it is what it is. So flagging that for kind of future analysis.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Did you get that? Doug.
Yeah, just before we get out of here, just a reminder, we'll do 2 more of these. Jen, do you want to remind us of the date for the legislators to join us?
I sure can. The legislatures have been invited to join us on February 9th and February 23rd.
Great, thanks very much. And hopefully the next one, since we've gone through in detail the priority list, the next ones will move a little quicker. And what we'll do is we'll give any quick county updates of the next one and then immediately turn it over to our legislators for updates. So this was a little kind of reversed in the process because we wanted to make sure that you had a chance to see our legislative priority list. If you have any questions, you know how to find us. Please get a hold of us. Either the county staff, the commissioners, or myself, or Corey, who works with me. We'd be happy to get you any information you need. And I guess we'll see you in the Capitol in about a week and a half.
February 5th. Yes, thank you all. Thank you all for joining us. Have a